What's up, y'all? We back at y'all again. We gonna hit y'all with these videos every 2 weeks because we trying to get that book out. Well, we're not trying to. We are getting that book out. We have a lot of great interest in the book, a lot of orders. So if you haven't got yourself the book today, is Acres Home, the Fofo. The book, the official book of Acres Home. Go to our website at acreshomethebook.com and order your book. We're having a big event in February where we'll be launching the book. It will be the big release of the book. But before we have that event in February, you can go to our website at acreshomethebook.com and get the book. My co-author is here today, PG, and I want to ask her a question so that y'all can hear this thing, because this book is a part of a movement. And our movement consists of what we call, and we coined this term, revitalization. I know you heard of revitalization, but revitalization is the movement of this book. And I want to ask PG, what was the purpose of, and if you haven't, go online and Google Priscilla Graham. I call her PG, and everybody, that's my own nickname for Priscilla Graham. But go online and look up and Google Priscilla Graham. And I want to ask her a question on why she do the things she do, because she's a great historian, and she also coined this term as a photo.
I'm a photoevangelist.
Photoevangelist and everything. So PG, why did you do what you do?
Basically, growing up, I stayed with my grandparents.
Okay.
So I was living with history all the time and just really didn't know it.
That's right.
And with that, I didn't have a lot of experiences that a lot of African American young people had. Mm-hmm. And so I've always had this desire to have the African American experience. Mm-hmm. That's one of the reasons why I started doing photography.
African American experience. What is that? What's an African American experience? I want to know what an African American experience is.
African American experience is about like all the things that make up our culture and who we are. You know, like the food, the music, the dancing, the theater type things.
Do you got to be black to have an African American experience? I'm just asking.
No.
I just want to know.
You don't have to be black, okay. But we have such a rich history.
That's right.
That I really didn't have a chance to experience on different levels. Okay. And I just wanted to do that because I never was able to dance. I always had like 2 left feet. Well, so, you know, you always see people dancing and grooving or whatever. Yeah. I always had those 2 left feet because I didn't get in that environment and have that experience and learn how to do that. Yeah. I can do a little something, but I still can't do, you know, our kind of dance. Nah.
Well, you know, I don't know if you ever did it, but if I had opportunities, and I know in our last video, I kind of shared with you the testimony of how I met Priscilla. But if you haven't already, Google Priscilla Graham. And the reason why I'm asking her that question, because this is bigger than Acres Home. You know, I was blessed to have her and invite her to Acres Home, and she's been doing this thing, and she's had this Acres Home experience, but she was already kind of studying Acres Home before I got involved and invited her and opened up the door for her and stuff like that. Tell us a little bit about what you were already doing, and because you had wrote a book, she had already wrote a book called Acreage Homes, and it's part of a series that she's doing, and I'm going to let her share a little bit about that.
Well, I came up with this thing. I wanted to do a hallowed ground series, which were those significant places in and around Houston where African Americans actually settled and developed. But, you know, just in order to inform and educate people about areas that, guess what? We settled this place. We were the ones who came in and we were self-sufficient, rather than people thinking that we didn't do anything. We didn't contribute anything, because all the images you see are negative images on TV, and that's what's portrayed.
That's right.
And I wanted to go back and say, you know what? Everything that glitters is not necessarily, you know, bright and shiny.
Bright and shiny.
Yes. And the other thing is, I didn't know that. I didn't know that, you know, really there was a place where black people only could stay at a certain period of time, and where white people stayed. And what they would do is redline after a certain period of time, you know, the land laws or whatever changed, and they would redline the areas where black people lived. And so Acres Homes, you were once a red line community.
That's right.
Now, what is it about this red line community that all of a sudden is okay?
But hold on, redlining, where did that term redlining come from? Because a lot of people haven't even heard of redlining. But thank you.
The banks.
Now, I don't know if y'all know a little bit about my history, but I was a national organizer, the head national organizer for the Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America. NACA is a large housing corporation, and we champion the ordinary person as we fight against the banks. But the banks use a term for mortgage and housing. If you want to know a little bit about housing, or you want to talk about housing, and you wonder why I'm always advocating about housing, but look up redlining and that term and everything. So talk to us a little bit about that, the redlining.
So redlining was that area that was undesirable land that they would lend money to because of crime and different things like that.
That's right.
But that was just really a mechanism to keep African Americans in this little box. So when integration happened, people start moving outside of those areas because they wanted their land and property to be valuable also.
That's right.
They didn't want to live in a community where it was just considered the slum or the ghetto, or it didn't have any value. Okay. That's why a lot of African Americans were encouraged by their family members or their parents or ancestors to move outside when they had the means to move outside of the community.
That's right.
But that was to increase their value and their materialistic value.
That's right.
But in areas where African Americans start living, as you know, historically, people will start moving out.
That's right.
And then they redline those areas again. But now all of a sudden, it's okay to live in a place like Acres Homes,
That's
or
right.
live in a place like Third Ward,
Yeah.
or live in a place like Fifth Ward.
Yeah.
All those areas that was once redlined, and they said that the value of that property was no good. All of
That's
a sudden
right.
it's good.
Now it's
Now
good.
you have people that were paid money to move in the suburbs at a certain different time. And the area where they moved was green, and they kept the value of their land,
That's
and
right.
the value of our land
Went down.
always declined.
That's right.
And so that's why we haven't been able to do generational wealth. They've had their property's always been more than ours.
That's right.
But now all of a sudden our property values are low, and they're coming in getting them at a low price.
That's right.
And then elevating the price higher
raise it
than
up.
what we're actually getting paid
Now
for.
let me ask you that. What was the first settlement in Houston? So when Houston, Texas got established, where were blacks living at?
Well, I
The
tell
first settlement before that was it?
I don't necessarily believe that there's like necessarily a first settlement, because remember when people came out of slavery, they was walking and they came in and they went to places where they could find jobs.
That's right.
So it doesn't necessarily mean that
That was the first.
this is the first, but they tell you that Freemanstown is the first because that's where your doctors, your lawyers, your teachers, that's where all those prominent people lived at.
So everybody was in Freemanstown pretty much when they was working inside of Houston or whatever.
No, everyone wasn't in Freemanstown.
Where were they at?
You had people all over.
Yeah.
But they were in pockets. But they lived in pockets and lived together for safety and protection.
That's right.
And that's the place where they could live. But they actually came to those places for work. So you have to look and see, was it a sawmill? Was it a railroad station? Like, what was it that was close?
What I'm trying to get at is that, okay, where, a lot of people believe that in order to do something, and I'm going back to what I was thinking, in order to do something, you got to be born in Acres Home. You ain't born in Acres Home, then you ain't part of Acres Home and everything. And so what I wanted to get at is before Acres Home was established in 1910 or recognized, where did those people come from? Did they come? They came from 4th Ward,
all over.
3rd Ward, 5th Ward.
Over. They wanted to own property.
That's right.
A lot of times when they were living in different wards and different places, they didn't own the property; they were renters.
That's right.
So they wanted to own property, so they went.
So
they came to Acres Home.
Acres Home was considered the promised land to get out of the other areas.
It was
Acres Home
land.
was the promised land and everything.
Yes.
But I want to ask you this question too, Priscilla, and it's almost like I'm interviewing her, but we're having a conversation. I want to ask this question. It's a tough question. What do you find? As I'm a native of Acres Home, and I breed and I bleed Acres Home. I have my business established in Acres Home. I own a lot of property in Acres Home. So me being a native of Acres Home, I might be a little biased. You being on the outside coming in Acres Home, what are some of the challenges you think we face organizing? What do you think by going to the meetings or anything else? I'm going to ask you a tough question. What do you think our problem is? Or do we have a problem?
I think you have a problem. I think you have a serious problem.
What
I
is
think you have a problem.
Your opinion. Give me your opinion.
This is my opinion. The opinion is galvanizing the people. Letting people have input rather than just a selected few of people. A small group of people cannot speak for everyone.
That's right.
Everyone has different interests. Everyone has different investments. So you have to find a way in order to communicate on a larger scale rather than just a significant small group of people.
So we haven't been able to communicate effectively to galvanize the collective of everybody.
I don't think you have, and that's just strictly my opinion. I don't think you have. I think that it's a small group of people. I believe prior to right now, there was a small group of people that controlled things in Acres Homes. Those were your leaders, our community leaders, who everybody went to. That's right. Now you have a small group of younger people because you have complete communities that's giving them opportunity to have a voice and empowering them, but it's the same group of people. They haven't galvanized a larger group of people. And I think that can have a negative impact on the community as a whole, because it's hard when you're trying to establish yourself and live and survive to do something that's for the whole rather than doing something for the individual. Like you'll take that opportunity to raise yourself up at the expense of the community as a whole.
That's deep. You know, I was just thinking while she was saying some of those things, and I have to take accountability for getting off track sometimes. Sometimes I believe that I get sometimes focused on proving proving the other folks or my peers wrong, and trying to get them to think instead of just focusing on what we're building with our nonprofit and with this movement, with revitalization that we're doing. And we need to focus more on that than competing with one another. Not necessarily competing, but focusing on each other instead of focusing on the issue and then contributing to what each other are doing. I believe I try to do a better job in trying to support and help all the initiatives that go on that I can. And it's a lot of great things. When you have 20-some thousand people, and I don't know when you have 20-some thousand people, a lot of them, like PG said, has their own interests. And you can't tell me that the same people at the Super Neighborhood represents the Super Neighborhood meeting or complete community meetings or whatever else represent those 22,000 people. And I hear a lot of times from the elders or people who just are just not getting involved. They was like, why nobody's here? Or we really need to do something. But when you really do some research, as we did, we found that there's a lot of great organizations, a lot of things that are happening in Acres Home on a spiritual level, with our churches, with non-profits. There's a Boys and Girls Club that's over there off of Gulf Bank, and there's some non-profits that are working out of that facility that are doing and impacting their community. Again, we need to impact our community, not by just providing another workshop or educational program, but even if we're doing those things, because that is a part of the impact, we need to take some time to analyze and see how impactful or effective that meeting was. If we having a meeting and it's only the same 10 people that we preaching to, and we haven't got anybody else there, I don't believe it's effective to the point where we can have effective. So every great movement starts with outreach. And if you go to our website, a part of us building on that foundation of outreach is get the word out of there, is centralizing the history and the information. All that great history and the information is found in this book. You don't have to go to 5 or 6 different websites like I did when I was looking up the information and everything. You don't have to go and talk to 15 different people or 100 different people to get the history of Acres Home. You can just get our book by going to the website acreshomethebook.com. Leave us with something, Priscilla. Tell me what you want to leave, or after you have done these books. Now, how many books to this point you've done?
I have about 22 or 23 different titles.
23 different books. Lord,
yes. So it's not just about, not just about historical places. I also have stuff on people or events that happened in African American history, especially like the 1917 riots and mutiny that they call it, Houston.
That's right.
And so Houston has a dirty little secret when it comes to race relations that nobody really talks about. And I'm not going to get into that. That's just what it is. And
we get into it in our book.
Yeah, so this is the 100th year celebration of World War I.
Wow.
Whether or not you know that. So yesterday, Buffalo Soldier Museum was part of a centennial celebration around the world, around the country, of actually putting up 100 monuments to celebrate the 100-year anniversary of it. And they had the French government and French soldiers and stuff like that was part of it. So a lot of times we so busy trying to take a picture or be involved in something that we miss the most historical stuff and the most significant things. And the other thing is with a picture, you take a picture with that cell phone. That's a toy picture.
That's a toy picture?
That's a toy picture. That's not really
Girl, hold on. My iPhone 10 takes some good pictures now.
It's still a toy picture. But I'm just joking or whatever. No, I'm not. I am and I'm not. Because, you still, those things, some of them take good pictures, but it's limited what you can do. And so it's just such a historical moment was yesterday that I don't remember seeing any African American media at all. I think we had the Chronicle and one of the news stations was there. But
I believe you had told me when you did an interview that there's a gentleman out of Acres Home who was he a Tuskegee?
He was at Tuskegee.
Yeah.
He was actually a pallbearer for George Washington Carver.
He was a pallbearer for George Washington Carver.
Yes.
And where he from?
He lives in Acres Home.
In Acres Home. He lives in Acres Home. So we're around what we call ordinary people that have done some extraordinary things, and we don't take the time to really reflect and value the resources we have. I believe because we're so distracted by what we call like the national media, and we don't get to see what's really happening in our own backyard. And we have a lot of resources in our own backyard that we tap. I tell you, one of the things in doing this book, I met a cat named Mark, and I don't know if y'all know his name is Mark Berzard or something. He's over the network. I know Ruby Glass and them, when they see this video, they'll know it. But he's also an author out there, and he's done 2 books and stuff. And he was out of Acres Home, and my family and everything done read his books and stuff. And he's big, and I didn't know how great this dude was until I had opportunity to do this book and do this research. And so, man, get this book, the Acres Home, the book. .com. Get the book, the Fofo, Past, Present, and Future. Get the book today. Order it before we have our big event in February. But if you feel that we left something out in this book, or you feel that, hey, you want to contribute to the book, we're asking that you contribute. Drop us a line and go to Acres Home, the book, at Gmail is our email. Send us photos, send us stories of some things that you feel that needs to be in the book. We'll take a look at it, because this is just the first. This is just the first. We will have a second edition coming out, and then the third, and fourth, and fifth. This is just the start of a movement of revitalizing our community and strengthening our community. And so we want to build, we want to contribute. If you know that there's a place or something that we need to go and speak, we are doing speaking engagements. So if you want to invite us to one of your church events or engagements or any type of meeting that you want to come, we can go and bring the book, speak about some things in the book. So check us out at acreshomethebook.com. Send us an email, send us a shout out, give us some feedback and some reviews of the book as well. So you want to leave anything with them, or you think we covered everything?
I think you've done it, James.
Hey, let's do it. All right. We'll see y'all next 2 weeks. We coming at you. Bye. Peace.